Irreducible complexity is when you've got such a system of interconnecting ideas, well, it's more than ideas, interconnecting mechanisms, such that the only way everything will work is when everything is working together. Blood clotting is a famous one, which Michael Behe referred to in his book, The Darwin's Black Box, where, you know, the whole system of interconnecting chemical reactions has all got to be working in order to avoid the danger on one side of bleeding to death, which is haemophilia, and the other, which is clotting the whole blood system up completely. So you've got, you know, checks and balances all the way along, and it's as many as 50 chemical reactions. Another example is the feather, and the feather is a marvel of lightweight engineering, where you've got an intricate system right down at the microscopic level, where the barbs coming off from the rachis of the feather, this is the feather, and you've got barbs coming off to the right and to the left, and right at the microscopic level, you only see something which is very special, which is that each individual barb is connected to the next one along, an adjacent barb, by a whole system of interconnecting barbules, the barbules of which, going in one direction, have hooks, and in the other direction, the barbules are like ridges. It's rather like a curtain rail, and the hooks sliding over a curtain rail. So some of the barbules going in one direction have hooks like you do on a curtain rail, and the others going in the other direction are like the curtain rail. So the hooks slide over the curtain rails going in the other direction. So that means that adjacent barbs are having interconnecting barbule systems between them, which you only see under the microscope. So that's an example where, just to fray a scale of a reptile, which is supposedly why the evolutionist thinks that birds have come from where they think they've come from, fraying a scale will not produce a feather. You need to actually have the interconnecting system right down at the microscopic level, which shows the irreducibly complex nature just of a feather on its own. We're not, you know, at the moment, we're not talking about the placement of the feathers, but in order to get a feather to work the way it does, you've got to have this complex system right down at the molecular, not the molecular, right down at the microscopic scale. What we're really talking about here is pennaceous feathers, feathers designed for flight. And these pennaceous feathers have to have been built carefully such that this system of interlocking barbules was there right from the word go, because otherwise the feather won't operate. You can't gradually evolve a feather that is a pennaceous feather. Now, this is a further point, but it's an important one. Feathers, when they grow from a follicle, and by the way, they don't grow from the same location as a reptile scale. A reptile scale, or the scale of any modern day reptile like a crocodile or an alligator, that doesn't come from the same location in the skin as a follicle. A follicle is a very special little tube which grows out from just under the skin, and it has wrapped up in it the feather, a bit like a Bic tube. If you've got a Bic pen, right, if you take the inside of the Bic pen out, right, you've got a tube there, and this feather grows from a tube a bit like that, and it gradually emerges out of this follicle, and this in nature for a feather is made of keratin, and the keratin gradually just crumbles away as the bird is molting. These feathers are carefully wrapped up inside the follicle such that when this tube breaks away, because it's very thin keratin and it just crumbles away, okay, then the feather unfurls and is in exactly the right place in the wing. And then the reason you have them coming out in tubes is that if this feather was to grow and emerge and push its way into the other feathers, it would just get tangled up. But these tubes make sure that the feather goes in exactly the right place in the wing. Now, all these things are telling you as an engineer that this has happened because of a brilliant mind behind it. To suggest that feathers came from reptile scales is frankly not good science.